Alpha Tauri's Daniel Ricciardo is set to make his F1 comeback at the United States Grand Prix. Let's see how geared up is Ricciardo along with his latest updates. After suffering a hand injury, Daniel Ricciardo will be back for the US Grand Prix, following a few frustrating weeks of being out. The Australian driver, 34, injured his left hand during practice for the August 25th Dutch Grand Prix and has since missed 5 races. Ricciardo, who participated in a Red Bull demonstration run in Nashville the previous weekend, will nevertheless be practicing his Alpha Tauri cockpit at Austin's Circuit of the Americas soon. Liam Lawson, a New Zealander who has shown promise in Ricciardo's absence, will give way. Regarding the injury, Ricciardo stated that it had been frustrating, but he is excited to drive an improved Alpha Tauri car and that his fitness is good. The 8-time Grand Prix winner exclaimed, "It's good to be back. My hand has improved significantly, and using the simulator to evaluate it was helpful. I gave it a try the week before Qatar, but I didn't think it was working to its maximum capacity, so I spent the remainder of that week in the UK, using the simulator more and more until I felt ready to go. I continued to exercise as much as I could, so my overall fitness is good, even though I was limited in what I could do with my left hand and arm for a period. Watching the last few races was certainly annoying, especially since I had worked myself up to the point that I was eager to race again. However, the time without racing passed fast after I completed 2 events and had to press stop once more. Since I last drove the current automobile, it has undergone some changes, but the simulation helped me understand the benefits of the updates and modifications. I sensed their influence somewhat, but once I'm back on the track, I believe I'll experience their full impact. When they initially tried it, I was in Singapore, and it was interesting to hear the largely good comments and feedback, so I'm excited to see what it's like firsthand. When Ricciardo crashed at Zandvoort, he was scheduled to compete in just his 3rd comeback race. His left arm was slung as he was taken first to the medical center and then to a nearby hospital. An X-ray taken later on verified that Ricciardo had broken his left metacarpal. Ricciardo was disqualified from the race in Holland as well as the races in Italy, Singapore, Japan, and Qatar that followed. After Ricciardo was fired by McLaren at the end of the previous season, Red Bull's junior squad Alpha Tauri gave him another shot. Alpha Tauri recently revealed that, despite his injury, they had signed the 8-time Grand Prix winner for 2024 alongside Japanese driver Yuki Tsunoda. Ricciardo, though, went back to Europe to advance in the motor racing ranks. 2009 saw him win the British F3 title, and the following year he moved up to Formula Renault 3.5. After a setback when his car overturned at Silverstone late in the season, he ended 2 points behind champion Michael Elchin. In both that year's post-season rookie test and the one in 2010, Ricciardo drove for Red Bull. 2011 saw him stay in Formula Renault 3.5, but he cut it short due to growing F1 commitments. This included taking part in the first Friday practice sessions for Toro Rosso, Red Bull's sister team. At the British Grand Prix, Ricciardo was granted the opportunity to compete in Formula 1 with the struggling HRT back-of-the-grid outfit. In their race lineup, he replaced Narain Karthikeyan. For the remainder of the season, Ricciardo stayed with the squad, making steady improvements and performing admirably against his more seasoned teammates. As a result, he was promoted to the 2012 Toro Rosso race team. Ricciardo quickly lived up to the STR7's potential for winning points, finishing 10th in his home race in Melbourne. However, it took him 11 races to go back to the lead as Toro Rosso was positioned at the back of a crowded midfield. In their 2nd season together, Ricciardo was often faster than Vergne, especially in qualifying where he had a sizable lead. However, compared to its predecessor, the car was not much more competitive, and the two hardly ever moved above the lower levels of the points. Nonetheless, Red Bull chose Ricciardo to succeed Mark Webber in 2014 after the latter announced his retirement from Formula 1. Ricciardo joined the defending champions as their lead was beginning to fade. The RB10 was unquestionably the 2nd-best car in the field, behind Mercedes' outstanding W05. However, it was competitive enough to win races, at least when driven by Ricciardo. Many were surprised to learn that Red Bull's 3 victories that year came from the rookie team member rather than the 4-time champion Sebastian Vettel. After finishing 2nd at home in Australia, Ricciardo's season had started on a little bitter note as he was disqualified due to a technical infraction. But when the 2 Mercedes encountered difficulties in Canada, Ricciardo seized the opportunity to win his maiden race by deftly passing Sergio Perez's Force India around the outside. The second one in Hungary was more fortunate, partly because of a well-timed safety car phase. He was once again in the greatest position to profit from Mercedes' problems in Belgium, this time following a collision between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. In addition to those notable victories, Ricciardo had a string of solid points finishes that helped him complete the year in third position. Additionally, he took over as Red Bull's de facto team boss after Vettel joined Ferrari. It was evident early on in Ricciardo's second season at Red Bull that his 2014 victories would not be repeated. Renault worked diligently throughout the offseason to address their engine issues, but they still had poor reliability and recurring drivability issues when they went into the season's opening race. In the Melbourne season opening, Ricciardo got off to a strong start, but he was unable to stop a succession of opponents from overtaking him. Ricciardo bore the brunt of the team's misfortune during the season, and being the only driver to run their upgraded engine late in the season was no advantage. It earned him another grid penalty, in exchange for which he received an engine that offered little gains in performance. He at last enjoyed the distinction of being one of the few drivers to overtake a Mercedes on track during the year, taking advantage of a damp track at the Circuit of the Americas to spring a surprise attack on Hamilton. He also jousted with the silver cars at the Hungaroring but came off worst following contact with both, slipping to third place at the flag. He visited the podium just twice, this being one of them. The other occurred in Singapore, where Ricciardo thought his vehicle might have kept up with Vettel's Ferrari, which would have won the race if not for two premature safety car pauses. He finished in second place. More chances to win races were lost in 2016, when Red Bull was back in winning form. One occurred in Spain, where Ricciardo lost the podium after a dubious strategy call after leading the early going. The fact that Max Verstappen, his new teammate, won meant that the defeat was much more painful to accept. Even worse was to come in Monaco, where a motivated Ricciardo took the lead and was leading before his late pit stop caused him to fall behind. It didn't work out for Ricciardo to go to Red Bull. The team that placed fourth in the 2018 season dropped to fifth place behind McLaren, who are engine customers. Red Bull, on the other hand, ended the season with 3 wins after switching to Honda power. The best of Ricciardo's meager fortunes came at Monza, where he drove teammate Nico Hülkenberg home to secure the team's best finish of the year, 4th and 5th. There were more instances of frustration. He was disqualified for an MG UK infraction during the Singapore Grand Prix qualifying round, and both cars were excluded from the Japanese Grand Prix after it was determined that their brake systems did not meet regulations. Race fans announced that Ricciardo had reached an agreement to depart Red Bull and join Renault. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Ricciardo was forced to wait to find out if Renault's newest vehicle would be an improvement, but he was eager to decide his future. Following the announcement of Vettel's retirement from Ferrari, Ricciardo acted swiftly. Although he had no path to the Scuderia, he seized the opportunity to succeed Vettel's replacement, Carlos Sainz Jr. at McLaren in 2021. McLaren was pushed down the order by a change in F1's technical restrictions, which also made the difference between the team's 2 drivers even wider. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, don't forget to hit that like button below. And if you want to stay updated with more great content like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel by clicking the red button and ringing the notification bell so you never miss any future content from us. Your support means the world to us.